Ricky Stenhouse Jr. confronts Carson Hocevar after Mexico crash, warns payback is coming at Pocono as their feud boils over.
Let's see what happens with the 77 of Hocevar. Oh boy, just deep into the corner.
And look who he runs into.
Please tell me it's not the
47. Ricky upset. Ricky's had enough.
It started with a spin in Mexico City. It ended with a helmet slap, an uncensored threat, and a promise of payback. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. made it clear, Carson Hocevar won't walk away clean. But what really happened on pit road? And why could Pocono become NASCAR's next battlefield? The drama began on lap 90 of the 110-lap race. As the field funneled through the tight stadium section of the Autódromo Hermanos Rodríguez, Hocevar made contact with Stenhouse, sending the veteran driver spinning. The move wasn't just clumsy, it was explosive. This wasn't the first time these two had tangled. Just 2 weeks earlier in Nashville, Hocevar had spun Stenhouse, an incident that left lingering frustration. To the outside world, it may have seemed like an unfortunate repeat. But for Stenhouse, this was personal, and he made that crystal clear after the race. As Hocevar exited his car on pit road, Stenhouse approached with fire in his eyes. He leaned into the cockpit, tapped Hocevar's helmet, and let loose. "I'm going to beat your ass when we get back in the States. You're a lap down. Why did you run into me?"
"I'm gonna beat your ass. You're a lap down. You got nothing to do. Why you run right into me?"
It was a direct, raw confrontation, the kind that fans rarely hear live. But this time, the entire exchange was captured by Hocevar's in-car microphone. The words were unmistakable. There was no cooling off period and no time for team PR to step in. It was a straight-up warning, made public in real time. Hocevar tried to respond. He claimed he had simply lost control, saying, "I washed up. I messed up." But Stenhouse wasn't having it. "Second time. I don't give a DMN," he shot back, his voice cutting through the post-race chaos. The slap on the helmet, the pit road confrontation, the uncensored threat, it all signaled something much deeper than a racing incident.
"Second time. I don't give a damn."
What makes this rivalry even more combustible is the history. After the Nashville incident, both drivers claimed to have had a productive conversation. There were attempts to smooth things over, but the Mexico City crash ripped those efforts apart. It proved that the frustration hadn't been resolved, it had been festering. And Stenhouse has a history with confrontations. Just a few months earlier, he had been fined $75,000 for punching Kyle Busch during the All-Star race at North Wilkesboro. That altercation also started over on-track contact and escalated fast. Stenhouse doesn't just talk tough, he acts. NASCAR fans know this isn't idle posturing. When he says he's coming for someone, he usually means it.
Lap number 2, Ricky Stenhouse was turned by Kyle Busch, and right away afterward...
No penalties were issued for the Mexico incident. NASCAR chose to let the emotions run their course. But it's not the officials that need to worry, it's Hocevar. Stenhouse's threat wasn't vague. He named the time and place, when they returned to the United States. And that means Pocono could be ground zero. The timing couldn't be more dangerous. The Cup Series schedule is heating up, the races are tighter, the stakes are higher, and the tempers are shorter. A brewing feud like this doesn't just add drama, it changes the way races unfold. Crew chiefs will need to factor in retaliation. Teams may have to plan pit strategies with a potential crash in mind. For Hocevar, the spotlight is intense. He's one of the sport's rising stars, but incidents like this threaten to tarnish his reputation. In the aftermath, he tried to take responsibility, admitting, "I just hit a curb wrong and got in the marbles and slid all the way through the corner. I tried to turn left and avoid him, but just a really sloppy day by me." But will that apology be enough? Stenhouse isn't looking for words. He's looking for consequences.
I just hit a curb wrong and got in the marbles and slid all the way through the corner. So I tried to turn left and avoid him, but just really sloppy day.
This entire saga brings up a classic NASCAR question. When does hard racing cross the line into recklessness? Hocevar said he didn't intend to wreck Stenhouse, but intent doesn't erase the outcome, especially when it's the second time in 3 races, especially when it costs a veteran a shot at a top finish, and especially when the apology comes with a pattern of repeated mistakes. The fan response has been just as divided. Some see Stenhouse as a hothead, quick to fight and slow to forgive. Others view him as a throwback, a driver who won't tolerate being pushed around. In an era where so much of the sport is polished and PR filtered, his raw honesty hits different. Love him or hate him, Stenhouse doesn't hide behind team statements or vague interviews. He says what he means, and he means what he says. Meanwhile, Hocevar is learning what it means to be in the spotlight. He's no longer the underdog rookie. With rising expectations comes greater scrutiny. Every move he makes on track, and every word he says off it, gets magnified. This feud might be a growing pain, but it's also a defining moment. How he handles Pocono could shape the rest of his season. And it's not just about those two. Their teams, sponsors, and even other drivers will be watching closely. Will NASCAR step in if the feud escalates? Will other drivers get caught in the crossfire? These are the questions that make rivalries like this so electric. The truth is, NASCAR needs stories like this. Not because of the violence, but because of the passion. Fans crave emotion. They want to see drivers who care, who fight, who don't just race, they battle. And that's exactly what Stenhouse versus Hocevar has become. As Pocono approaches, the tension is thick. Stenhouse has drawn a line. Hocevar knows it. Everyone in the garage knows it. And when the green flag drops, all bets are off. Will Stenhouse make good on his threat? Will Hocevar race him clean? Or will we see another explosion that forces NASCAR to intervene? This isn't over. In fact, it might just be beginning. What happened in Mexico City wasn't just about one spin. It was about pride, respect, and retribution. And with so much season left, one thing is clear. The Stenhouse-Hocevar feud is far from settled. It's now one of the hottest storylines in NASCAR. So buckle up, because next time they hit the track, it won't just be a race. It'll be a reckoning. And it's not only the fans keeping score. Fellow drivers are paying attention too. Many of them know what it's like to be on either end of a rivalry, caught between defending their space and avoiding long-term consequences. In a sport where inches matter and every second counts, getting tangled in someone else's war can derail an entire season. Spotters, crew chiefs, and pitbox strategists will be recalibrating. Expect them to warn their drivers more aggressively, especially if either Stenhouse or Hocevar gets anywhere near their car. The dynamic has changed. For now, it's not just about winning. It's about surviving the drama. Even NASCAR leadership may need to monitor how this plays out. If tensions flare again, especially at a high-profile race like Pocono, it could push officials to step in. Whether that means fines, probation, or mandatory cool-down sessions, the governing body has a vested interest in keeping rivalries exciting, but under control. Behind the scenes, sponsors could also start asking questions. Teams rely heavily on sponsorship dollars, and public brawls or repeated crashes can become PR headaches. While rivalries often boost viewership, they also bring risk. No brand wants to be front and center in a feud that turns into a full-on meltdown. Still, rivalries are baked into NASCAR's DNA. From Dale Earnhardt versus Jeff Gordon, to Joey Logano versus Denny Hamlin, the sport has always thrived on personality clashes. And in that spirit, the Stenhouse-Hocevar saga is just the latest chapter in a long tradition, one that's messy, emotional, unpredictable, and totally captivating. Whatever happens next, one thing is certain: all eyes will be on Pocono. The question isn't just who will win, it's whether the fire lit in Mexico will explode again on American soil. If you're fired up for what's coming next, hit that like button. It helps more fans see this story. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the fallout at Pocono. And let us know in the comments, should Stenhouse get revenge, or does Hocevar deserve a clean slate?